Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are looking at a blueprint straight out of July 2026. We're talking about China's sovereign AI stack, better known as Project Fortress. We're going to break down this vertically integrated, totally self-sufficient AI ecosystem. It's essentially a system built specifically to dominate the exponential age.
Here's our roadmap for the breakdown today. First up, Project Fortress itself. Second, the system's two pillars. Third, technical power in numbers. Fourth, the geopolitical rift. And finally, we'll project out to the world in 2028. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Project Fortress. So the absolute defining feature of the Fortress is zero external reliance. Literally none. It's a fully independent AI ecosystem that takes the sheer, raw industrial hardware power from Huawei and smashes it together with advanced agentic software intelligence from Alibaba. Basically, they've built this vertically integrated stack to completely isolate themselves from any outside dependencies. And that is a massive geopolitical shift in how technology scales.
Moving right along to Section 2, the system's two pillars.
Now, what's fascinating here is that these two giants, they don't actually compete. Instead, they act as the two massive pillars holding up this entire ecosystem. On one side, you have Huawei acting as the bunker. Think of them as the state backbone, right? They provide the hardware resilience, critical infrastructure, and that insane security scale. Then, on the other side, you've got Alibaba acting as the market. This is the highly agile software engine that's out there driving enterprise and consumer apps with agentic AI. And building the stack from the ground up starts right at the base with proprietary in-house silicon. We're talking chips like Ascend and Zhenwu. Then, moving up the stack, you have these massive proprietary interconnects like Unified Bus, tying everything together. And finally, right at the top, the whole shebang culminates in sovereign AI models like Qwen. It is total top-to-bottom integration from the silicon all the way to the software. Okay, Section 3, technical power in numbers. Let's look at some of these infographics to really get a sense of the scale, starting with over 8,192. That is the number of chips interconnected in just a single Huawei Atlas 950 SuperPod cluster. I mean, integrating over 8,000 chips into one unified cluster without relying on a single external part, that is an absolute masterclass in massive industrial scale. And that massive cluster, it pumps out over 8 exaflops of raw compute power. To put that completely mind-boggling number into perspective, we're talking about 8 quintillion calculations every single second. This is pure, brute force computational muscle, designed specifically for mass AI training, and powered 100% from within. Now, to match all that hardware muscle, Alibaba's Zhenwu M890 chips bring the agility. They are equipped with 144 gigabytes of high-bandwidth memory. That extreme memory capacity is exactly what allows them to run complex, highly autonomous agentic workloads without breaking a sweat. When we map these two forces against each other, the synergy is just incredible. Huawei handles the heavy lifting state compute using its unified bus tech and the CAN ecosystem. Meanwhile, Alibaba takes the enterprise lead, utilizing 128 supernode systems and achieving a wild 10x speedup with their QN model. It's effectively a dual-engine system designed to rival and honestly potentially exceed Western workloads. Which brings us to Section 4, the geopolitical rift. Right now, we are witnessing two entirely different architectural philosophies playing out on the global stage. On one side, we have the U.S. model of network sovereignty. This approach relies on open ecosystems, fierce competition, and tech giants like NVIDIA and Microsoft. Contrasting that directly is the Chinese model of industrial sovereignty. This model is hyperscaled, state-backed, highly sanctions-resistant, and entirely independent. It's basically the architecture for a brand new splinter net. At the very core of this strategy is what's called the intelligence pie. The idea here is that by securing absolute sovereignty over compute, energy, and the resulting intelligence, China can effectively compensate for any manufacturing gaps. So if they struggle with advanced process nodes, for instance, they just make up for it by utilizing sheer brute force scale and massive state capital. Let's look ahead to Section 5, the world in 2028. Tracing this roadmap into the near future, the Fortress is firmly established in 2026 with the rollout of these current chips. But then, by 2027, the focus aggressively shifts to scaling intelligence as labor, essentially deploying AI as a completely new economic workforce. And by 2028, the projection is that next-generation chips, like the Ascend 970, are expected to close the performance gap with NVIDIA entirely. So as we watch the construction of this parallel civilizational infrastructure, we have to ask ourselves, when intelligence as labor becomes a global reality, which architectural foundation will ultimately define our future? Will it be the open network ecosystem or the vertically integrated unbreakable fortress? It's a massive question that is absolutely going to shape the next decade. Thanks for tuning into this explainer.